The Katha Upanishad, translated by Aurobindo. Vajravasa, desiring, gave all he had. Now Vajravasa had a son named Nachiketas. As the gifts were led past, faith took possession of him who was yet a boy, unwed, and he pondered. Cattle that have drunk their water, eaten their grass, yielded their milk, worn out their organs, of under light are the worlds which he reaches, who gives such as these. He said to his father, Me, O my father, to whom wilt thou give? A second time, and a third time he said it, and he replied, To death I give thee. Among many I walk as the first, among many I walk the midmost. Something death means to do, which today by me he will accomplish. Look back and see, even as were the men of old. Look round, even so are they that have come after. Mortal man withers, like the fruits of the field, and like the fruits of the field is born again. His attendants say to Yama, Fire is the Brahman who enters a guest of the houses of men. Him thus they appease, bring, O son of Vivashvan, the water of the guest right. That man of little understanding, in whose house a Brahman dwells fasting, all his hope and his expectation, and all he has gained, and the good and truth he has spoken, and the wells he has dug, and the sacrifices he has offered, and all his sons and his cattle are torn from him by that guest unhonored. Yama speaks. Because for 3 nights thou hast dwelt in my house, O Brahman, a guest worthy of reverence. Salutation to thee, O Brahman. On me let there be the weal. Therefore 3 boons do thou choose, for each night a boon. Nachiketas speaks. Tranquilized in his thought and serene of mind, may be the Gautama, my father, let his passion over me pass away from him. Assured in heart, let him greet me from thy grasp delivered. This boon I choose, the first of the 3. Yam speaks. Even as before, assured in heart, and by me released, shall he be. Adalaki Aruni, thy father. Sweetly shall he sleep through the nights, and his passion shall pass away from him, having seen thee from death's jaws delivered. Nachiketas speaks. In heaven, fear is not at all. In heaven, O death, thou art not, nor old age and its terrors, crossing over hunger and thirst as over 2 rivers, leaving sorrow behind. The soul in heaven rejoices. Therefore, That heavenly flame, which you, O death, studiest, expound to me, for I believe. They who win their world of heaven have immortality for their protection. This, for the second boon, I have chosen. Yama speaks. Hearken to me, and understand, O Nachiketas. I declare to thee that heavenly flame, for I know it. Know this to be the possession of infinite existence, and the foundation and the thing hidden in the secret cave of our being. Of the flame that is the world's beginning, he told him, and what are the bricks to him, and how many in the way of their setting. And Nachiketas too repeated it, even as it was told. Then Death was pleased, and said to him yet farther. Yea, the great soul was gratified, and said to him, Yet a farther boon today I give thee, for even by thy name shall this fire be called, this necklace also taken to thee, a necklace of many figures. Whoso lights the three fires of Nachiketas and comes to union with the three and does the triple works, beyond birth and death he crosses, for he finds the God of our adoration, the knower who is born from Brahman, whom having beheld, he attains to surpassing peace. When a man has the three flames of Nachiketas, and knows that this that is triple, when so knowing he beholds the flame of Nachiketas, then he thrusts from in front of him the meshes of the snare of death, leaving sorrow behind him, he in heaven rejoices. This is the heavenly flame, O Nachiketas, which thou hast chosen for the second boon. Of this flame the peoples shall speak, that is thine indeed. A third boon choose, O Nachiketas. Nachiketas speaks. This debate that there is over the man who is past, some say, this he is not, and some say that he is, that taught by thee I would know. This is the third boon of the boons of my choosing. Yama speaks. Even by the gods was this debated of old, for it is not easy of knowledge, since very subtle is the law of it. Another boon choose, O Nachiketas. Importune me not, nor urge me. This abandon. Nachiketas speaks. Even by the gods was this debated, it is sure, and thou thyself hast said that it is not easy of knowledge. Never shall I find another like thee to tell of it, nor is there any other boon that is its equal. Yama speaks. Choose sons and grandsons who shall live each 100 years. Choose as much cattle and elephants and gold and horses. Choose a mighty reach of earth, and thyself live as many years as thou listeth. This boon, if thou deemest equal to that of thy asking, choose. And long living, possess thou, O Nachiketas, a mighty country. I give thee thy desire of all desirable things for thy portion. Yea, all desires that are hard to win in the world of mortals, all demand at thy pleasure. Lo, these delectable women, with their chariots and their bugles, whose like are not to be won by men, these I will give thee. Live with them for their handmaidens. But of death question not, O Nachiketas. Nachiketas speaks. Until the morrow, mortal men has these things, O Ender, and they wear away all the keenness and glory of his senses. Nay, all life is even for a little. Thine are these chariots, and thine the dancing of these women and their singing. Man is not to be satisfied by riches, and riches we shall have if we behold thee, and shall live as long as thou shalt be Lord of us. This boon and no other is for my choosing. Who is that mortal man, and grows old and dwells upon the unhappy earth, when he has come into the presence of the ageless immortals, and knows, yea, who, when he looks very close at beauty and enjoyment and pleasure, can take delight in over-long living. This of which they thus debate, O death, declare to me, even that which is in the great passage. Then this boon which enters into the secret that is hidden from us, no other chooses Nachiketas. Yama speaks. One thing is the good, and quite another thing is the pleasant, and both these seize upon a man with different meanings. Of these whoso takes the good, it is well with him. He falls from the aim of life who chooses the pleasant. The good and the pleasant come to a man, and the thoughtful mind turns all around them and distinguishes. The wise chooses out the good from the pleasant, but the dull soul chooses the pleasant rather than the getting of his good and its having. And thou, O Nachiketas, hast looked close at the objects of desire, at pleasant things and beautiful, and thou hast cast them from thee. Thou hast not entered into the net of riches, in which many men sink to perdition. For far apart are these, opposite, divergent, the one that is known as the ignorance, and the other the knowledge. But Nachiketas I deem truly desirous of the knowledge, whom so many desirable things could not make to lust after them. They who dwell in the ignorance within it, wise in their own wit, and seeming themselves very learned, men bewildered as they who wander about round and round, circling like blind men led by the blind. The childish wit, bewildered and drunken with the illusion of riches, cannot open its eyes to see the passage to heaven, for he thinks that this world is, and no other. This world is, and no other, comes again and again into death's thraldom. He that is not easy even to be heard of by many, and even by those that have heard, there are many who have not known him. A miracle is the man that can speak of him wisely, or is skillful to win him. And when one is found, a miracle is the listener who can know God, even when taught of him by the knower. An inferior man cannot tell you of him, For thus told thou canst not truly know him, since he is thought of in many aspects. Yet unless told of him by another, thou cannot find thy way there to him, for he is subtler than subtlety, and that which logic cannot teach. This wisdom is not to be had by reasoning, O beloved Nachiketas, only when told thee by another it brings real knowledge, the wisdom which thou hast gotten. Truly thou art steadfast in the truth. Even such a questioner as thou may I meet with always. Nachiketas speaks. I know of treasure that is not forever, for not by things unstable shall one attain that one which is stable. Therefore I heaped the fire of Nachiketas, and by the sacrifice of transitory things I won the eternal. Yama speaks. When thou hast seen in thy grasp, O Nachiketas, the possession of desire and the firm foundation of this world in an infinity of power, and the other shore of security and great praise, and wide-moving firm foundation, wise and strong in steadfastness, thou didst cast these things from thee, realizing God by attainment to him through spiritual yoga. Even the Ancient of Days, who has entered deep into that which is hidden and hard to see, for he is established in our secret being, and lodged in the cavern heart of things. The wise and steadfast man casts far from him joy and sorrow. When mortal man has heard, when he has grasped, when he has forcefully separated the righteous one from his body and won that subtle being, then he has delight, for he has got that which one can indeed delight in. Verily I deem of Nachiketas as a house wide open. Nachiketas speaks. Tell me of that which thou seest otherwhere than in virtue, and otherwhere than in unrighteousness, otherwhere than in the created and the uncreated, otherwhere than in that which has been and that which shall be. Yama speaks. The seat and goal that all the Vedas glorify, and which all austerities declare, for the desire of which men practice holy living, of that I will tell thee in brief compass. Om is that goal, O Nachiketas, for this syllable is Brahman, this syllable is the Most High, this syllable, if one know whatsoever one shall desire, it is his. This support is the best, this support is the highest. Knowing this support, one grows great in the world of the Brahman. The wise one is not born, neither does he die. He came not from anywhere, neither is he any one. He is unborn. He is everlasting. He is ancient and sempiternal. He is not slain in the slaying of the body. If the slayer think that he slays, if the slain think that he is slain, both of these have not the knowledge. This slays not, neither is he slain. Finer than the fine, huger than the huge, the self lies in the secret heart of the creature. When a man strips himself of will and is weaned from sorrow, then he beholds him, purified from the mental elements. He sees the greatness of the self-being. Seated, he journeys far off, lying down, he goes everywhere. Who other than I is fit to know God? Even him who is rapture and the transcendence of rapture. Realizing the bodiless in bodies, the established in things unsettled, the great and omnipresent self, the wise and steadfast soul, grieves no longer. The self is not to be won by eloquent teaching, nor by brain power, nor by much learning, but only he whom this being chooses can win him, for to him this self bears his body. None who has not ceased from evil doing, or who is not calm, or not concentrated in his being, or whose mind has not been tranquilized, can, by wisdom, attain to him. He to whom the sages are as meat, and heroes as food for his eating, and death is an ingredient in his banquet, how thus shall one know of him where he abides? There are two that drink deep of the truth in the world of work well accomplished. They are lodged in the secret plane of being, and in the highest kingdom of the Most High is their dwelling. As of light and shade, the knowers of the Brahman speak of them, and those of the 5 fires, and those who kindle thrice the fire of Nachiketas. May we have strength to kindle Agni Nachiketas, for he is the bridge of those who do sacrifice, and he is Brahman supreme and imperishable, and the far shore of security to those who would cross this ocean. Know the body for a chariot, and the soul for the master of the chariot. No reason for the charioteer, and the mind for the reins only. The senses they speak of as the steeds, and the objects of sense as the paths in which they move. And one yoked with self and the mind and the senses is the enjoyer, say the thinkers. Now he that is without knowledge, with his mind ever unapplied, his senses are to him as wild horses, and will not obey their driver of the chariot. But he that has knowledge, with his mind ever applied, his senses are to him as noble steeds, and they obey the driver. Yea, he that is without knowledge, and is unmindful, and is ever unclean, reaches not that goal, but wanders in the cycle of phenomena. But he that has knowledge and is mindful and pure always reaches that goal, whence he is not born again. That man who uses the mind for reins and the knowledge for the driver reaches the end of his road, that highest seat of Vishnu. Then the senses, the objects of the senses are higher, and higher than the objects of sense is the mind, and higher than the mind is the faculty of knowledge, and then that is the great self is higher, and higher than the great self is the unmanifest, and higher than the unmanifest is the Purusha. Than the Purusha there is none higher. He is the culmination. He is the highest goal of the journey. He is the secret self in all existences, and does not manifest himself to the vision, yet he is seen by the seers of the subtle, by a subtle and perfect understanding. Let the wise man restrain speech in his mind, and mind in self, and knowledge in the great self, and that again let him restrain in the self that is at peace. Arise, awake, find out the great ones and learn of them. For sharp as a razor's edge, hard to traverse, difficult of going, is that path, say the sages, that in which sound is not, nor touch, nor shape, nor diminution, nor taste, nor smell, nor that which is eternal, nor smell that which is eternal, and it is without end or beginning, higher than the great self, the stable, that having seen from the mouth of death there is deliverance. The man of intelligence, having spoken or heard the eternal story of Nachiketas, wherein death was the speaker, grows great in the world of Brahman. He who being pure recites this supreme secret at the time of the Shraddha in the assembly of the Brahmins, that turns for him to infinite existence. Yama speaks. The self-born has set the doors of the body to face outwards. Therefore the soul of a man gazes outwards and not at the self within. Hardly a wise man here and there, desiring immortality, turns his eyes inward and sees the self within him. The rest childishly follow after desire and pleasure and walk into the snare of death that gapes wide for them. But calm souls, having learned of immortality, seek not for permanence in the things of this world that pass and are not. By the self one knows form and taste and smell By the self one knows sound and touch and the joy of man with woman. What is there left in this world of which the self not knows? This is that thou seekest. The calm soul, having comprehended of the great Lord, the omnipresent Self, by whom one beholds both the end of dream and to the end of waking, ceases from grieving. He that has known from very close this eater of sweetness, the jiva, the self within, that is Lord of what was and what shall be, shrinks not thereafter from aught, nor abhors any. This is that thou seekest. He is the seer that sees him who came into being before austerity, and was before the waters. Deep in the heart of the creature he sees him, for there he stands by the mingling of the elements. This is that thou seekest. This is Aditi, the mother of the gods, who was born through the prana, and by the mingling of the elements had her being. Deep in the heart of things she has entered. There she is seated. This is that thou seekest. As a woman carries with care the unborn child in her womb, so is the master of knowledge lodged in the tinders, and day by day should men worship him who live the waking life and stand before him with sacrifices, for he is that Agni. This is that thou seekest. He from whom the sun arises, and to whom the sun returns, and in him are all the gods established. None passes beyond him. This is that thou seekest. What is in this world is also in the other, and what is in the other, that again is in this. Who thinks he sees difference here? From death to death he goes. Through the mind we must understand that there is nothing in this world that really varies. Who thinks he sees difference here? From death to death he goes. The Purusha who is seated in the midst of ourself is no larger than the finger of a man. He is the Lord of what was and what shall be. Him having seen, one shrinks not from aught, nor abhors any. This is that thou seekest. The Purusha that is within us is no larger than the finger of a man. He is like a blazing fire that is without smoke. He is the Lord of his past and his future. He alone is today, and he alone shall be tomorrow. This is that thou seekest. As water that rains in the rough and difficult places runs with so many sides on the mountain tops, so he that sees separate law and action of the one spirit follows in the track of what he sees. But as pure water that is poured into pure water, even as it was such, it remains. So it is with the soul of the thinker who knows God, O seed of Gautama. The unborn, who is not devious-minded, has a city with 11 gates. When he takes up his abode in it, he grieves not, but when he is set free of it, that is his deliverance. This is that thou seekest. Lo, the swan, whose dwelling is in the purity. He is the Vasu in the interregions, the sacrificer at the altar, the guest in the vessel of the drinking. He is in man and in the great ones, and his home is in the law, and his dwelling is in the firmament. He is all that is born of water, and all that is born of earth, and all that is born on the mountains. He is the truth, and he is the mighty one. This is he that draws the main breath upward, and casts the lower breath downward, the dwarf that sits in the center. To him all the gods do homage. When this encased spirit that is in the body falls away from it, when he is freed from its casing, what is there then that remains? This is that thou seekest. Man that is mortal lives not by the breath, no, nor by the lower breath, but by something else we live, in which both these have their being. Surely, O Gautama, I will tell thee of this secret and eternal Brahman, and likewise what becomes of the soul when one dies. For some enter a womb to the embodying of the spirit, and others follow after the immovable. According to their deeds is their goal, and after the measure of their revealed knowledge. This that wakes in the sleepers, creating desire upon desire, this Purusha, him they call the Bright One, him Brahman, him immortality, and in him are all the worlds established. None goes beyond him. This is that thou seekest. Even as one fire has entered into the world, but shapes itself to the forms it meets, so there is one spirit within all creatures, but it shapes itself to form and form. It is likewise outside these. Even as one air has entered into the world, one atmosphere, but it shapes itself into the forms it meets, so there is one spirit within all creatures, but it shapes itself to form and form. It is likewise outside these. Even as the sun is the eye of the world, it is not soiled by the outward blemishes of the visual. So there is one spirit within all creatures, but the sorrow of this world soils it not, for it is beyond grief and his danger. One calm and controlling spirit within all creatures that makes one form into many fashions, the calm and strong who see him in their self as in a mirror. Theirs is eternal felicity, and 'tis not for others. the one eternal in the transient, the one consciousness in the many conscious beings, one being, one who, being one, orders the desires of the many, the calm and strong who behold him in their self, as in a mirror, theirs is eternal peace, and 'tis not for others. This is he, is all they can realize of him, a highest felicity which none can point to, nor define it. How shall I know of him whether he shines or reflects one light or another? There the sun cannot shine, and the moon has no lustre, all the stars are blind. There our lightnings flash not, neither any earthly fire, for all that is bright is but the shadow of his brightness. And by his shining, all this shines. Yama speaks. This is an eternal Ashwatha tree, whose root is above, but its branches are downward. It is he that is called the Bright One, and Brahman, and immortality. In him are all the worlds established. None goes beyond him. This is that thou seekest. All this universe of motion moves in the prana, and form. From the prana also it proceeded, this living energy. A mighty terror is he, yea, a thunderbolt uplifted. Who know him are the immortals. For fear of him the fire burns, for fear of him the sun gives heat, for fear of him Indra and Vayu and death hasten in their courses. If in this world of men, and before thy body fall from thee, thou wert able to apprehend it, then thou availest for embodiment in the worlds that he creates. In the self one sees God as in a mirror, but as in a dream in the world of the fathers, and as in water one sees the surface of an object, so one who sees him in the world of the Gandharvas. But he is seen as light and shade in the heaven of the spirit. The calm soul, having comprehended the separateness of the senses and the rising of them and their setting and their separate emergence, puts from him pain and sorrow. The mind is higher than the senses, and higher than the mind is the genius, and above the genius the mighty spirit, and higher than the mighty one is the unmanifested. But higher above the unmanifested is the Purusha, who pervades all and alone has no sign or feature. Mortal man knowing him is released into immortality. God has not set his body within the ken of seeing, neither does any man with the eye behold him, but to the heart and the mind and the supermind he is manifest. Who know him are the immortals. When the five senses cease and are at rest, and the mind rests with them, and the higher mind ceases from its workings, that is the highest state, say thinkers. the state unperturbed, when the senses are imprisoned in the mind. Of this they say, it is yoga. Then man becomes very vigilant, for yoga is the birth of things and their ending. Not with the mind has man the power to get God, no, nor through speech, nor by the eye, unless one says he is. How can one become sensible of him? One must apprehend in the concept he is, and also in his essential. But when he has grasped him as the is, then the essential of God dawns upon a man. When every desire that finds lodging in the heart of man has been loosened from its moorings, then this mortal puts on immortality. Even here he tastes God, in this human body. Yea, when all the strings of the heart are rent asunder, even here in this human birth, then the mortal becomes immortal. This is the whole teaching of the Scriptures. 101 are the nerves of the heart, and of all these only one issues out through the head of a man. By this his soul mounts up to its immortal home, but the rest lead him to all sorts and conditions of births in his passing. The Purusha, the spirit within, that was no larger than the finger of a man, is seated forever in the heart of creatures. One must separate him with patience from one's body, as one separates from a blade of grass its main fibre. Thou shalt know him for the bright immortal, yea, for the bright immortal. Thus did Nachiketas with death for his teacher win the God knowledge. He learned likewise the whole ordinance of yoga. Thereafter he obtained God, and became void of stain and void of death. So shall another be, who comes likewise to the science of the Spirit. End of the Katha Upanishad, translated by Sri Aurobindo. And so, the dimensions that go into this fulfilled expression, this recollection to the soul and meaning and message of the inspired sages of the Vedas, the foundational truth of the connection of the essence and inhabitation and cause of being. In this most unique meditation takes the invocation of a story of this parentage who is trying to attain the goal of realization in life. And this child of this parentage, this subtle spirit, this sacrificial fire, comes as a child full of faith, and this faith, by the term, that which is the agent and soul of justice and death unto the delivery of things, comes unto its confrontation. And like the three dimensions of the universe, like all the different manifest aspects, so for 3 nights, with the 3 darknesses, he comes into the house and has not been greeted through those dimensions. And for this reason he is given reconciliation to his Father, the root, the living root of tending the divine fire that is consistent with the origin and end and primal cause of things. And then, inclusively and most subtly, like the highest element of all, comes to the illumination of wisdom and interior fulfillment, of inspired association and ground. And this meditation fills the substance of the whole and explicates it unto its part throughout the flow and condition of its passage in imparting.